The rut's over. What do you do about it? It's a scary time of the year because people look forward to the rut, they plan their rutcation, and then all of a sudden it's over, it's fleeting. It seems like it's early season, September, and then all of a sudden, I was just talking to Dylan yesterday, I was like, man, it just seems like we were going out for the first time, and that's over. And there's still some incredible opportunity. And there's incredible opportunity because a lot of times, bucks are recovering. What does that mean? They need to eat. They need to relax. Where do they do that? They don't do it out in the open hardwoods, where they've been hunter pressured for weeks on end. Even early October, end of September, all of October, all of the rut. They do it back in thick cover where they have some type of browse component in areas that haven't been hunter pressured, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But they need to recover, and that means they need to eat. They need to eat a lot. So find those quality food sources is critical. Do you hunt in the AM? Do you hunt in the morning? This is a time where I don't. I'll hunt in the morning on the first day or two of gun season. I'll hunt in the morning a lot during the rut. That's a priority. Deer are moving a lot more. Bucks are moving a lot more in the morning than they are the afternoon hours, even during the rut. So it's a great time to hunt. But when there's no rut on, middle of October, early October, unless I have a buck pegged that I know he's moving in a certain location, which, in the early season, more of a guess, more of a gamble. Late season, pretty much guaranteed he's back in his bedding area already before you get there. He's going to beat you because he's just resting, relaxing. He might go out for a bite or two during the middle of the night. Deer feed 5 times in a 24-hour period, twice in the middle of the night. He might be out there during those middle of the night feedings, 4 or 5 hours apart, and hit those 2 feedings, and he's on his feet. He's back in his bedding area early, so I do not hunt morning because there's such a priority on the afternoon, evening hunt that I don't want to blow it out in the morning. And we'll talk about why that PM is such a priority. So I'm looking for pockets, what it boils down to. And I'm not hunting in the morning. If you want to, that's fine. But we'll talk about PM rules right here. You don't want to spook out the food source. Bucks are recovering, not hunting in the morning. And I'm looking for pockets that are unpressured. Key is unpressured. You can even have a lower quality food source. But if there's decent cover, meaning they have some browse during the day, that browse is so critical. It's one thing when it's in September, October. And that's why you talk about controlled burns around here in the woods. Gets a lot of green herbaceous growth. But when that green herbaceous growth is gone, what do the deer eat? They don't have anything. They need browse. They need hardwood regeneration, briar tips, shrub tips. Acorns are usually gone by now. And so, but they need that. So you're looking for diversity. You're looking for stem count. It doesn't matter if it's private or public land. That's part of the pockets. Then you look for quality food. Maybe a random standing cornfield somewhere. Maybe a nice clear cut on public land. That's a young clear cut. In southern locations, that might be a 1 or 2 year old clear cut because it's so high and tall and thick after that they don't utilize it. Not looking for pine regeneration. They don't eat pine. You're looking for hardwood regeneration, shrubs, weeds, grasses, briars. That's going to be what they'll look for within that high quality food source on public land. And on private land, that means food plots, standing corn, standing beans, whatever it might be that is still available this time of year and has been unpressured. That is the key. Unpressured pockets of cover and food. Critical, because bucks are just looking to recover. They're not running all day. There might even still be some breeding opportunity. That doesn't mean that breeding's done. It means that bucks need to recover. They can't run more than 3 or 4 weeks straight. They've really been pushing it, dropping a huge amount of body weight. They get to a point where they just can't go anymore. And even though there's breeding taking place, and that contributes to the second rut a lot. I think there's a lot of does that go unbred during that period of time because at some point, bucks just start pushing it. Does get missed, just kind of like when there's a lot of does coming in, some get missed. You fast forward another month, and that's what kicks in that second rut that's very reliable no matter where you're at in the north 2/3 of the country. PM rules, food, food, food. It's got to be unpressured. If you find an unpressured food source where deer are allowed to hit every single day without spooking, then you can find a gold mine. Last year, shot a beautiful buck, a non-typical buck over in Wisconsin on a late season December food source. Just allowing that food source, we don't pressure it unless we shoot a bullet into it or an arrow. We don't bow hunt it. So we're shooting it from a distance. I think it was 195 yards with the muzzleloader. So we're allowing those to heat up. And then I love going out and just enjoying watching deer. And what you find when you're watching deer on those food sources, whether it's on the way there in a safe spot, a water hole, mock scrape, a pattern that it's been unpressured is key. But I'm hunting by the weather. And that is critical to understand. When you get into fragmented parcels, where deer just don't have the wilderness to move through, on big public land, private land, they move when the weather tells them they can move. They are very defined, especially the older buck gets. He's very defined in his home range. He's not moving miles during the daylight. He's moving a couple hundred yards at this time of the year on average. So he's moving from bedding to feeding. That's it. If it's real windy, and he can't hear, he can't see very well, and he can't smell very well because it's so windy and swirling, he's not going to move early. He'll still move late. He'll move the same 200 yards. Studies will show he moved the same amount. Didn't matter on the weather, but he moved it during the daylight when it's good weather. If it's really hot, he's probably not going to move. It's really windy. Obviously, if it's blizzard, thunderstorms, lightning, rain, hard rain, sleet, he's not going to move early, even if at all. You know, some weather can suppress them so much that they just don't leave their bedding areas. I'm looking for cold, calm conditions. That's when I shoot my bucks that time of year. I shoot a lot of them that time of year with the muzzleloader at a distance, watching. And we know what days you can say, bucks are going to be out this day. They're not going to be out this day. It's pretty easy to see that. When it gets that time of year, I'm relying on hunting the weather. That same algorithm I infuse in HuntCast. No more than this, other than it's 25% off right now. Check out the link. Through my link, it's 25% off in the description. That's a favor to you guys. I want you guys to check it out. It's same with First Light. They have a big giant sale every year, up to 40% off. Most everything is 40% off in the entire site. There's a huge, that's about pro staff pricing if you look at that. You know, the discount that pro staffs will get in a lot of retail and manufacturing products. So really take advantage of that. Both links are in the description. But this time of the year, I'm using good layers, bibs. I use quarter zips, heavy merino wool layers, covering up my head. I always use a hand warmer tube. So there's some of the ways that I survive the cold weather. But then at the same time, I'm out there during the cold weather because that's the time to hunt, which you can find out through HuntCast. So really, these steps right here, bucks recovering, keep that in mind. They're not going to move much. People say, well, it's dead. And it's funny, some people are still waiting for the rut to happen. Folks, if you do that, in another 5-6 days, you miss the whole rut. It's been happening. And that means those bucks are going to stop moving and recover. Find those pockets of unpressured, good, adequate browse and food combinations. You have to have both. You can't have a great food source because if there's no cover for bucks to bed in within a few hundred yards, why are they going to be there? Really focus on the evening. Don't hunt a morning bedding area. That'll spook out an evening food source. Okay to take you want to go hunt? You want to hunt in the morning, that's your time off? Go hunt in a bedding area that doesn't relate to that food source movement in the afternoon, evening. Really critical to understand that. Hunt by the weather will lead you to success. Learn how to dress for it, and you'll be on top of not only this tweener period, I call it, where it's in between the primary rut and the second rut, but certainly leading up the second rut, which is even better. So we love that time of year, get snow. Deer are really grouped up, herded up in areas that are unpressured, and it can be a ton of fun when you're on top of the deer, and these tips will help you be on top of the deer this season and beyond. I urge everyone out there to really check out my web classes. They've been wildly successful. We have one that details how you should design your land, another one that details how you should plant and maintain and manage your food plot program. How can you make those decisions that fit your land specifically and not someone else's? Unfortunately, there's so much information in the hunting industry that says you should do this, but it doesn't apply to you. These web classes directly apply to you. And then we have our third web class that came out last year, our Rut web class, navigating the entire rut. And then we have our fourth one coming out, which is hunting hills and thermals. I urge you to check those out, try the web classes, and they're all about teaching, helping you understand how you can navigate, not only managing your property, food plots, and the rut, but also hunting strategically, hills, thermals, and wherever you pursue whitetails for your dream and your passion.